got us going.
You ready, Bill?
Yeah.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, I'm looking at two different dates here. 24th, 2026, our Budget and Finance monthly meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Wright, can you lead us in?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day that you've given us. Lord, I thank you for this great city that we live in. Lord, I thank you for the people that are here. Lord, I ask that you guide us and direct us in this meeting today. Lord, give us wisdom when it comes to financials and how we deal with the city. And Lord, just help us to be good stewards of the things that we have. And Lord, help us to glorify you. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call, Mr. Booth?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Rosenbaum.
Here.
Councilman Lewandowski.
Here.
Mayor, you got the quorum for this meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have any public comments?
We do not have any registered comments, unless Gertrude's got anything she wants to make comments on. Oh, you're on the agenda, that's right. So, thank you for reminding me. I'm a little.
It's okay.
I'm surprised we actually got somebody here for the budget and finance.
I'm here because I'm on the agenda.
So, no public comments, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda is approval for our budget finance meeting from January 20th. Is that right? It's February 24th. February. I'm looking at the sheet that I got here.
Should be
All right.
this one.
What the heck?
Yep.
This is what I got a copy of. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my original. Sorry. Okay, you're right, I know. So it is
You
February
caught it.
24th. Yeah, it is February 24th. Okay. And I did look at the minutes. Any questions, Mr. Dan?
I just had two administrative suggested changes.
Yes, sir.
Under roll call, you say mayor present, then you say me at present.
Oh, yep. Gotcha.
And on the second page, under item 7, current budget review, under item number 6, we say in the March B and B meeting. I believe that should be in the March B and F meeting.
Yep.
Budget and finance. So those are the only two administrative or changes I recommended.
Okay,
As amended, sir.
Got it.
all right. Thank you for catching that. All right. So we approved that. We don't have to vote or anything, just right? Because it's only two.
Consensus in this meeting's fine.
Okay, perfect. All right, action items is the February budget performance, number 7.
Yeah, just back out, make sure I'm tracking digitally here real quick. All right. And so, Madam Mayor, we'll go through, so there's, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 documents in here. The main one I'm ready to spend a lot of time on is really going to be the general fund document. So, general GF income expense versus budget report, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
And Councilman Lewandowski, I'll just talk broadly from the last meeting. One of the major recommendations that you had was to make sure as we plot, or when we calculate out our expected expenditures on any of these budget lines, that the year-to-date budget line for this one is a little smarter. I forget the words you used. Sophisticated. And so we've done that in this version. And so it's different for each line, but that has been applied. So, and there are a couple. I'll point out a few errors that when we were making those changes, we've got a couple errors in the annual budget line. At least one that I'll call out here in a little bit. So that has been applied. And so this is, I will tell you, it does refine it to make it a little bit easier to look at what we expect. And but in general, most of these are running at about 40, I want to say it was 42% of what would be expected for the year if you looked at straight line execution. So most of these are coming in. We've got a few budget lines that are going a little high, and I've made some edits in the draft mid-year amended budget, but we'll get to that in another budget line. So, I don't know, do you have particular questions if you want to go by page or?
So I will be focusing on the 17 items that I identified as amendments, and to see how you address those. And then I just have one or two other questions on the numbers.
Okay. Do you want to hit those when we go to the draft amended budget, or do you want to do that now in the February execution?
I can wait till we do the amended budget because that's where it really applies.
Okay.
If there are highlights that you want to share with us,
Sure.
that would be great. And then there's only one really that I think that I have
Okay.
that I want to ask about.
I'll just go through, the big highlight was to let you know that we did change how the year-to-date calculates.
Okay.
So let me see real quick here. I'm going through my notes. So, we went pencils down on the, I don't know, what, the 10th of February or so is when we run this report. And then everything else, we'll go through it, we'll make edits and changes. But for this meeting, it's locked. And so I'll tell you what's changed from what we found once we went
You
through
mean
it.
the 10th of March?
I'm sorry, the 10th of, when we ran this on the 10th of March, that's correct. 10th of March, so that the February data is kind of locked in there. So at least we've got one touch point to look at. And so just give me a second, I'm gonna go through them. Let's see, so first page, I don't have any significant concerns to talk about.
Okay, let me just ask then on the first page
Sure.
about property taxes. Very top line. So our annual budget's 360,000. Is that the 95% number?
It is, yes, sir.
Okay. And the 311,000 that we have is ahead of our budget for the year. Do you think we're gonna make our 360, more than our 360? What is your feeling?
I think we'll come in close. When we looked back at the history on this one, when we set up how it spends, or we expect it to accrue, we typically see nothing in October. A bump of where we used was about 20% of what we're expecting to get for the year comes in November, and December seems to be the big month when the money comes in, or the funds come in, and so that ranged, depending on the year we looked at, from 40 to 60% of that year's income for this line item would come in December. So I just kind of picked the middle line of 50% of it. And then after that, it drops off. And so the way that this calculates is about 3.3% of the rest each month comes in for the rest of the year. And so you see this surge and a major drop off, and you just get a trickle for the last few months. And so that's why you only see about 6,000 come in February, is because it's a smaller chunk. So it's not perfect because we looked at multiple years, but that's kind of how it plays out. So I think we're going to come in on budget. I'm comfortable with it, especially that we've already got 311 out of 360.
Yeah, and if you get 3% per month for the rest of the year, we're gonna exceed it.
Right.
So we're in good shape there. And I like the sophistication applied to this line item here. We went from a year-to-date budget of 120,000 last month to now 276,000, which is far more realistic
Yes, sir.
compared to historical patterns. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Another observation is I see the word gross profit deleted, not on here. Thank you for doing that. And as necessary, budget surplus can be used, and we're in a good spot for a municipality.
So we're, just so you know, Tiffany's working on this. What happens with this process is we do an export off of QuickBooks, and it goes in Excel. That gross profit was really, we just deleted that Excel line that it was calculating. We're still looking at how we go in and make edits inside of QuickBooks to make that change permanent. But for this report, it's an Excel version of what's in the QuickBooks. we've been looking at several of those that you asked about.
And I'm sure we're not the only municipality that is working this or has worked this in the past, so I don't know, maybe somebody else already has a fix.
There's a report,
They just leave it there.
yeah.
Maybe they do.
There's a report editor. I mean, it's set up, the city has set up these reports, and we're kind of living off some of these reports that were set up, and we've been tweaking it. Every month we find something that makes it a little more reasonable to how the city's operating currently. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what was done financially in the past, it's just
Right.
things have changed, and so we're trying to get it all caught up. Tiffany's doing a terrific job.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Lewandowski, did you have anything else on the first page?
Just check. No, first page, we're good.
Okay. I'll move on to the second page, page 2 of 6, the very top line item is CD interest income. This one shows performing a little low. Tiffany's done some research with the bank. We did actually just yesterday be able to sort through these payments coming quarterly. We can see that. It's built in the system to pay out quarterly now. But the second quarter of payments, we didn't see a normal report from the bank. Tiffany went in there, we were able to find it, the updated version, the current QuickBooks has the second quarter payment for those. There's 3 CDs that fund in the general fund, that now is updated in here. So we're whole on this budget line
Okay.
so far this year. That's all I had on the second page. Let's see, nothing significant on the third page unless you've got questions.
Nope, I'm good.
All right, and this is off page 4 of 6, election expenses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down. It's line item 519500. You'll see the annual budget for elections shows on here is $22,800. That's just an error that was introduced as we were making edits. That budget line really should be about $3,000. And it had to do with data entry when we were making the edits to spread the funding cost out. And so we just caught it afterwards. That's been corrected down to the original budget of $3,000 for the year. When we go in and do the edits for the next year, we may do an adjustment to about $2,800, but right now that's corrected.
Yeah, because we were good last month, so this is a recent.
Yes, and how does this one, let me try to remember, election expenses is $3,000. So what happens with this one is each year, if we actually have to run an election in April, we pay the county we fund the county to do that process for us. And if you look at the expenses of paying newspaper advertisements for the elections that the county does for us, and then the actual cost of their team coming in and running the election here, we estimate that to be a total of $3,000. And so when you don't have an election, I'm estimating it's about $2,800 in savings that we'll amend in the amended budget that we won't expend. And the other 200 is those newspaper advertisements that we did pay out, and those are what actually show in here in the year to date, if I remember correctly.
Well, we got 700.
Yeah, that's $741. That's those costs for those newspaper advertisements.
So some of this will change after the April, swearing.
When we do the amended budget, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have anything else on 4 of 6. Going on to page 5 of 6. Give me 1 second to look through my notes here. Oh, so we're doing some revisions. The one item that's performing a little awkwardly on this line is it's a little below halfway through. You'll see operating expenses, ADT security. It's 541375. We're doing some reviews on that. It looks like it's overexpending. It looked like it was overexpending. We went in there, and I'm trying to remember, we found some, the cell phone bill sits in here for security for some reason. We've got some cost for fire extinguisher, and then we've got the ADT cost in here.
And then they did an upgrade.
That's there was a $1,000 additional expense. We had to change out the card reader here in the building. It was just the old card reader we had was end of life. We had to pay for the new one, And so that was unbudgeted, so that drove the cost so far up. But this one will have some corrections done to it in the next one, the next update. I apologize. And then, I know what I wanted to call out. Kudos to Tiffany and the team. We were paying our Verizon bill for all our cell phones was running about $622 a month. We've gone through and cleaned up all those bills, shut down a lot of phones, some other items that were being charged on that, and that's going to go down for months forward to be about $300 to $325 a month. And so we'll get that adjusted, and that'll bring down some of the expenditures on this one throughout the rest of the year.
That's the same line item as ADT.
It is. It's all buried in there. I think the city put that in there. Who knows? There might have been grant opportunities. That I think they categorized the city cell phones under kind of security, and I can't tell the history of why it's there. What we are going to do, can't remember if I did it in the mid-year budget, but since we are shifting to Verizon's phone system instead of Comcast, we will either in the mid-year or in next year's budget, the Verizon portion of this ADT security, that'll come out, and we'll just keep it in the phone internet billing line item for the city hall. So it's all in one package, and it's awkward sitting in ADT security here. What I will highlight, I didn't highlight that before because we've kind of gone past it, but that line item, the city cell phone internet cable bill was running somewhere to the tune of, for the whole city, $1,200 a month. With coordination between, we talked with Verizon, they gave us a new quote, we coordinated with Comcast to see if they could meet it. Comcast didn't come anywhere close, so our bill is gonna go down for the city from $1,200 last month, and let's say in the February bill, when we go into April, it's gonna be $500 for unlimited internet and all our desk phones for our business voice
About
features.
60% less. That's good.
So it's significantly less. Comcast would only come down to about $800 for a similar service. And so we made the switch actually just last week. We've been running City Hall it's on the cell phone, it's on the cell system, but our internet is not hardwired right now. We're cellular internet, and it's working just fine. So we're keeping both systems active, and we're going to monitor it for a couple of weeks and make sure that we don't have any problems, and keep working with New River Technologies, our IT department. But if they say, hey, they didn't have any network issues with uploads of our data each night, we'll make the final cut and set our connectivity to Comcast.
So is this a router in the building that everyone connects to electronically?
That's correct. So it is a gateway, effectively a Wi-Fi router that picks up the Verizon signal off of the Clay Electric Tower over here. So it's only a quarter mile away, half a mile away. And then that is hardwired into the network system. And then, so it's not, most of our desk computers are hardwired in, but it's also pushing out a Wi-Fi signal as well.
And the line that this cost will go to, is that on page 3?
It is.
Ending in 3350? About 2/3 of the way down the page.
It is on page 3 of 6, and it's 313350. Telephone, internet, CATV.
Right, okay,
That's
that's
the
one,
one.
ending in 3350, okay.
And we can hit that again when we go through the mid-year, but. I don't have anything else on page 5 to 6. And I don't have anything significant on 6 of 6, unless you all have questions. All right. We'll move on. So balance, we have in the packet the balance sheets for each of these. Last meeting I told you we're still cleaning up the balance sheet. There's a lot of old data on there. We have made some progress forward, but not significantly. We didn't put our focus on this. We put our focuses on updating that year-to-date calculation. So work in progress on balance sheets. One thing we did make a shift. I mean, you probably didn't notice it when we went through, and I should have called it out, but when we did the yearly budget, we had to, due to the trim process, list carry forward funds into the budget year in the income side of the budget documents, And then at the expenses side, we had to show what we were gonna, it was called, what was the line item?
Carryover,
Well, it wasn't carryover, reserves.
reserve.
And so the predicted reserves, I told you last time we were gonna talk with Rebecca, our CPA, about that. She did recommend that come out in the year of execution, so these documents don't show those line items anymore. We've taken those out. We'll add them in when we do the annual budgeting. We have to show those documents when we do trim. But the one thing that it allows is a very clean version. If you'll look at, particularly if you look at the draft mid-year budget, on the income, you'll just see a little over 1.5 million. And on the expenses, you'll be able to compare our expenses to that number. When you put the carry forward into the line item and the reserves in there, it made you do math in public and it wasn't easy. So it's a lot cleaner in the year of execution.
They're also on the balance sheet. Remember, she
Yeah.
said they're better to be on the balance sheet.
That's correct, but where they will show is on the balance sheet. And then for infrastructure fund, don't think we've had any significant activity. Let me double check here. Let's see. So we did our regular income coming in. I'll just look at the February activity. That's probably the easiest. We have been doing better on this budget cycle was each of the subordinate funds, the cemetery fund, the infrastructure fund, and the community redevelopment agency. That's not the right term for it, but those funds, we are billing for legal fees, city staff time, and what was the other one? There's
Just labor and legal.
Yeah, labor and legal. Those weren't up to date in the last billing cycle, that is all caught up. And so these funds are paying the general fund for the support that we've done. So last time, the numbers weren't correct. This time, we've got that fixed and we're doing monthly billings against that, so that's fixed. So you'll see that the legal fees and some of the, for all the infrastructure fund, transportation transfers, that's what that activity is showing. There are those transfers of data. That's right in the middle of the pages in expense. And then there's no other capital outlay costs that came into this one during the budget cycle.
So my one concern about this is that we only have the $12,800 expended for Nightingale so far.
Mhm.
And I know we've said we plan to spend, but I was hoping in the first 5 months we would have spent more
Right.
for infrastructure.
And let's see, on the infrastructure side, I can just look these over. The governance center, we're still waiting to see what comes out on the budgeting before I initiate any task orders to any of our firms. Septic to sewer, that will change once we do the mid-year amendment. We did not get any, well, I think we kind of talked about it the last time, but we didn't get into the budgeting cycle at the state level.
Right.
And so we'll have to decide how we want to move forward with that. So that budget line item, haven't taken any action, but we probably, in the next community redevelopment agency or city council meeting, have a discussion. We talked about, do we take it in little chunks, do we go broader?
I think you and I should discuss it today.
With the septic sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How we want to approach that, or how we want to recommend to the council that we approach it.
I mean, I think, just like you said before, chunks, taking it in chunks, I think it's more feasible because of the funding support from the state. And it might be something that we can manage better, smaller, and just identify the priority areas with the folks from, I guess, CCUA, give us recommendations. The gentleman that shared that PowerPoint with us at the Prosperity Members meeting about a couple of months ago or last year, it was a really deep study, and maybe he needs to come in to one of our council meetings or a workshop where we can have open discussion. Maybe it is gonna be a workshop. But that's just kind of what I think. I think it's just more practical
I like that.
because it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that way it looks like we're doing something and not waiting so long to see some results. I mean, you know, all the things that we're being able to do quickly is because we're planning it smarter and we're committing and we're making it happen. So to me, I just think being conservative about it and just looking at the smaller picture, maybe we'll get more support somewhere in the county or the state by doing that, maybe.
I like that.
So maybe we want to set a workshop, you
I
think?
like that.
So we can really dig into it, and maybe the gentleman who spoke I can look at his name, I can't remember.
You're talking from CCUA?
Yeah. the guy who
Jeremy
gave-
Johnson,
Jeremy?
the president, I forget his official term for
Yeah.
CCUA, but
He gave a great presentation on that, just showing exactly where the connecting areas are from what the previous work was done way back when.
Yeah.
And kind of looking at what they would consider priority areas to consider. That way we kind of put it on them
I like
from an
that.
engineering perspective. And then we have to figure out how do we do this, like, because we're talking about residents, right? So, I don't know, I think it'd be good for the whole council to see that presentation and then let us just workshop it and talk about, okay, what do we all agree on?
I agree. I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
And just as a reminder, and I think it was the last city council meeting, Councilman Knight asked if the council had any concerns with him kind of spearheading, opening up public discussion.
Yes,
Subsequent to that, I believe he has held an interview with Jen Samsel from the newspaper,
right.
starting to open up that discussion, so
He is
we
a
may
very
see.
concerned about it.
Yeah, so we may see some article over the next week, I'm not sure.
And you know, and I'm willing to do, whenever we identify a date for workshop, is to do a Facebook Live or something to reach people and then push it out on social media that we're having this. We want folks to come and talk to us about this, what they think, so they can also learn and understand what the horse's mouth, what they're saying, recommending to us.
Mhm.
So it's not all on us, like we've got a strategy plan, and I think that comes across better.
It does, especially if we have some residents who really, really don't want this.
Right,
Okay, we'll not do their section then. We'll move on to another section.
right.
And by having it in pieces and parts, we can do that.
Yeah, almost like we're doing the lakes. And, you know, we've identified the areas that we have the money for, that we
Right.
can actually strike on. So to me, I think this has to be like a little creative puzzle that we kind of figure out how it's gonna go. At least we are committed and we're trying to, you know, go at it slowly, so we have a long-term plan and, go from there.
So let me ask for our April agenda of the council,
Mhm.
put on it establishment of a workshop for septic to sewer conversion.
Yeah, shoot for me.
Sounds good? I like
I
it.
know, Councilman Knight is very interested in this project.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you can give us some help as well. I'm trying to get the public involved.
Yeah, as long as we make a step forward or 2 steps forward every single time we meet,
Mhm.
even if they're baby steps, we're moving in the right direction.
Right.
Councilman, I think you're absolutely right. We need to understand if we're walking into a minefield or not. We need to really know what citizens, residents are looking for. Cause that could make people extremely mad or people extremely happy. And most of it depends on how old your septic system
Or
is.
how many you have, right? I have 3.
Right, there you go.
So it's like, ah.
Yes. Okay?
So that was the retention, I'm sorry, that was septic sewer. Retention pond stormwater, and I forget what the rest of the term was on here, that's budgeted at 45,000. When I built this budget line item, I knew that we were having some issues out there, but it was before we received the comprehensive flood vulnerability assessment grant. And so though that's another line item, I think the best bet is to pause this, we could reallocate or just hold off and see what that assessment turns out. Because I think we do better with our funds long-term if we have a stormwater comprehensive plan a comprehensive stormwater assessment that's done under the state's authority that we can then use to bridge when they identify areas of concerns that we need to work on. That recommendation does well when we write up grant opportunities that, you know, a state required assessment told us that we have a vulnerability here, and then we ask for grants to work on those vulnerabilities. That'll extend our money out. We can do a lot more with the relatively limited funds that we do have. That concept was not built in when I put this budget line item down.
Okay.
That was Nightingale. Nightingale repair is moving forward, though it did get hung up on its, we've slowed down waiting on permits. We just got that permit in from St. Johns River Water Management District. And then also we've still got to work with, there's an easement requirement to do the work. And I'm still working with the property owners to get to yes on the easement that we're gonna need for the construction easement, but also the maintenance easement in the long term. That's gonna require us to, as we do this modeling and the comprehensive stormwater assessment, There's some modeling that needs to be done on the impact of this easement is downstream of the Nightingale culvert. That stream goes through and winds through there, and it's created almost like a valley right in there. And the property owners are concerned about the impact of Black Creek flows, impacts on their property. The turn of this stream is kind of directs towards their house, and just in the process of trying to get the easement, one of their concerns, they want some answers on what do the models show is going to happen with flows coming through there and impact on their property. And so I think we can get at it over the next few months with a process that's already state funded, but it's just going to take a little more time. And we've got time. It's going to take a while for Brooklyn to fill up. So I think it's prudent to go through the process and get there. So I would imagine that if we don't get to funding construction in July, August timeframe, it'll be early in the next fiscal year. We'll be able to get these funds moving into construction. And it also gives us the time to see what happens with the state budget, because we also have a $210,000 request to fund this project as well. So there's a lot at play that says let's just pause on this one and wait to see how the cards fall. That's Nightingale, Resilient Florida Flood Vulnerability Assessment, that $90,000. Though we can rearrange in the mid-year amendment, we're going to need some of this to cash flow the payments to the engineering firm. So most of the state grants are reimbursement grants. So the city pays on the front end to get the engineering work done, and as we hit the deliverables, the state will cut the check for that deliverable that we've met. So this number will come down. I just need to figure out what's the right amount to keep in our budget, so we've got the cash in the budget to make those payments. Sidewalk repair is something that we need to get after. Part of that is going to be that we've got a $7,000 contract that we're working on right now. This contract's not the right term. Service agreement to do the saw cutting to take the trip hazards out. But I think I've talked about this before. Once we've got those taken care of, we can figure out where we actually need to go in and do whole panel replacements. That's what this would fund.
Yeah, so I read in your notes a couple of weeks ago that we've got almost $80,000 that DOT is doing for us along Lawrence, which is wonderful. And so therefore, I worry that the stuff we're going to do, we're just plowing ahead to replace 3-foot wide sidewalks. And although we've discussed it at 10,000 foot level, going to 5-foot wide, we really haven't decided anything.
Right, we just talked about possibly looking at that around the schools. It might be more doable, feasible for now, and because of making a bigger impact in the school area, and then just move forward with these others and getting them prepared and so that they're good to go for now, until later down the road we might consider going bigger.
And I think we have enough money to do that.
Do repair work or sidewalk expansion from 3 to 5 feet?
Sidewalk, to begin the sidewalk expansion 3 to 5 feet.
You mean like at school?
Yep,
or
at
the school
schools,
area?
right.
Because remember, we talked
Just
about,
at the school.
if we did it, it would only be around the school area. I think Councilman Knight brought that up, just for safety for the kids.
And I apologize, I'm just thinking through, most of the sidewalks up in the school areas are 3 foot or wider than 3 feet.
Oh, I know.
The narrower stuff is the state just redid a lot of 3 foot along. What they redid, they kept it 3 feet, because that's the minimum.
Yeah.
That was some of our narrower, and then back over here, Lakeview's got some pretty narrow. I think the stuff that was done out, for example, on Lake Lane where you are is wider than 3.
No, it's 3.
Oh, is it 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it only goes down half of Lake Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And then it abruptly stops
Right.
after about 2 or 3 houses.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does it not finish?
Why did they not take that island out?
Oh, that's another
That
thing.
thing's
Yeah.
horrible.
But,
I mean,
but I think you're getting to the exact point that I made. I can't remember this meeting or the last city council meeting, which is I think the city needs to focus. If we're putting 5 foot in, we should put 5 foot in where we have no sidewalk currently,
oh,
and focus on getting sidewalks where there are no sidewalks in the city first. And then as we do projects, down the line, we can look at expanding. Folks who've got sidewalks, 3 feet's not great, but it's better than no sidewalk. I would recommend we focus on the areas that don't have sidewalk, and then after that's taken care of, move on.
Yeah. All right, then Let's add that as an agenda item for the council in April. And see if that's
See
acceptable.
if they feel, how they feel. How much area do we have that doesn't have sidewalks completed?
I think we need to study actually. I mean, not a,
I
don't,
mean, and I did. Didn't we have a guy, somebody that went by and measured for us like that really kind of cool way of measuring space, the sidewalk measurer guy? to let us know,
We've
like,
got the
if we're
information, I just off the top of my head, can't tell you how many miles or, how
What it
quarter
is.
miles. I can tell you the big stretches where we don't have in the city, the stretch from, Nightingale Street, from the end of, where you get at the weird city limits going out to, the Sunrise Park.
Yeah.
That's a big stretch.
What
There
road is
is two roads out in that area, Dove and, they shoot off of Orchid going
No.
west, Naha. Dove and Naha have no sidewalks.
Hmm.
And then there's small chunks like Councilman Lewandowski mentioned in different areas where,
yeah.
there's
There's
no
one on
sidewalk.
Hebron, over in Park of the Palms. There's definitely Lake Lane.
Hmm.
I don't know where else.
Yeah, we can get a handle on an estimate on where we need them, and that way we can kind of quantify what would be the priority and put a number to it. So we look at those as, like you said, a priority. I think that'll help to sell council more on that idea. And then see what we're looking at from the financial perspective to do that, just get all the sidewalks completed, there where there are none, and that we should have.
Okay, all right.
It just might be, like you say, Jamie, a better way to look at it, to get all of those checked and the ones repaired, and then we look at the 5-foot situation. Where we think we might need to do something like that, down the road or whatever.
Yes, ma'am, and so the sidewalk repair, the budget line item that I have in here, that we put in for 50,000,
Mhm.
that was targeted at existing sidewalks that have been driven over and cracked, that they're beyond.
Right.
That was really getting after
We have a
those.
lot of those.
The existing network, getting that fixed, and then the next line item, I think, is really where we're talking, or this view down is sidewalk construction. I had budgeted $45,000 at the beginning of the year. The goal of that was to look at, design work for those areas that I just spoke about, the Naha, Dove, and that big stretch getting over to the park. But we could also, like I said, we can have that prioritization discussion, try to get it into the agenda for April. Let's see what I can get pulled together real quick.
I'll just say there's a lot of correct ways to do this. We just need to all agree which way
Right.
we wanna go.
Right. Get their input.
Yeah, and I also sent that item 88 sidewalk to Keystone Beach. I don't think we're gonna get to that this year.
Where was that gonna be exactly?
We've got two options right now. Mr. Bell's working on that for us. We are assessing, the surveys were down there at the beach last Friday, and we're looking at the current wheelchair ramp area that zigzags.
Right.
It's too steep in certain areas, and you don't have long enough landing pads. That's why it's not ADA compliant. We're looking at seeing, could we extend out a few more feet, do some concrete work on some of those changes, and get that into ADA compliance. The other opportunity that we're looking at what that would be and what the cost would be for that. We're also looking at, do you take a sidewalk that goes out from the area around the top of the Geneva Jungle and kind of slowly serpentine it down towards that pavilion that's out to the kind of the east, and bring it in down in front of the historic pavilion. And you can do that slower and bring with a grade that is, and turning pads that are acceptable for ADA. That's the other route that we're looking at bringing it in. So we're looking at those two cost estimates and figure out what's the right route to get it done.
Yeah, I remember talking, because this got kind of caught up when we were talking about the pier and all that with Scott and group team there, to doing some kind of a walkway, for the ADA, that goes through that left side, like you said, and kind of meanders around, but has areas where you can get to a picnic table, you can get to the pavilion, get to the restroom, you can get to the future pier. That walkway would kind of intertwine, and I want to say he said that using a boardwalk material, probably for around 50,000, 50,000, that could be accomplished. And to me, I want to see something that anybody and everybody that needs ADA can use, so that we can hopefully, because especially once we get the pier down there, you want these folks to be able to navigate to get down there. And it is tricky. I know just going up down those steps myself with these knees I have, you know, and that's nothing compared to what a lot of folks have. I just felt like that was a good idea, and the materials were not gonna be as expensive as concrete. So,
And it's just a trade-off at, you know, the 20, 30-year mark, you
Right.
gotta go in and redeck.
right.
And so that's gonna be
I mean, what do
the
you think about that,
trade-off.
Dan?
I think options that you're developing are great, and then let the council decide,
Right.
you know?
And timing-wise, with Mr. Bell working on that design work and assessment right now,
Okay.
and it's relatively uncomplicated process. This one's still within reach of getting taken care of this budget year.
Okay, that's an update I didn't know that was going on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Have we covered them all? 87 to the beach, 45. I think that's all of them in the infrastructure budget.
All right, along with infrastructure, and I know you haven't had a lot of time to work on balance sheets because you've been busy with higher priority stuff. But one of the things that is normally identified in assets is high-value pieces of property and equipment. And so perhaps to start us off easy in our assets for the infrastructure, we could take our 3 largest value assets and put them on this list here. And start the actual list, start the actual catalog, start the actual inventory of city assets that is more than just our banking accounts.
So you're talking about, like number 8, assets over $5,000, the list that they printed out for us, to take some of those from there, like those large numbers from that list?
And put it onto our balance sheet.
We never heard back from the court, did we? Okay, so we did ask, we're inquiring of our Powell and Jones how all that interaction works with because there is an there's an assets calculation that's in the audit, and we're trying to figure out exactly where that information, where Powell and Jones pulled that, how that interacts with our existing assets list that's in QuickBooks. Thank you, sorry, the word was eluding me, but I got you, I see what you're saying, and I think,
Just so you're not duplicating numbers.
correct, I just wanna make sure when we're tweaking things in
Basically,
QuickBooks,
talking about-
that it doesn't create insanity in the audit process. But I hear what you're saying, Councilman Lewandowski, and I get it, it makes sense. We'll ask and we'll make sure that it all nests.
So from my time as a business owner, I know that I used to always get my asset information based on IRS tax guidance and how much I should depreciate my major assets every year. Different assets had different depreciation values per year. And so I used those IRS guidelines to determine the value of my assets, and I would file my taxes based upon those depreciations of assets. And so I would encourage you to look at that and see if there are IRS guidelines that our accounting firm is following.
Yeah. We will, yes, sir. We kind of have a similar question that's already out there.
Good.
We'll just refine it.
You're asking the right questions.
Yes, sir. Community Redevelopment Trust Fund is the next one that I've got in my printout. And let's see. Just looking at transactions.
Yeah, my biggest question is no income.
We got 100,000, no, more than 100,000 in. It was just after we ran this print. Tiffany worked it with the county. Do you remember, Tiffany's really good with numbers, I don't.
121,000.
121.
Okay.
120.
Well,
And
that
so-
already exceeds what we expected, so
Yeah.
we're in good shape then.
Yes, sir.
I was just worried.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, 0 income, that's not comforting.
It's there.
Yeah.
Next month you will see it. Other fees and no other significant hold on park improvements. February. I'm just looking at the park improvements, very, very bottom.
Before I forget again, before this meeting, on our agenda, can we have a standing item that just says audit status?
Yes.
I just got the list of 31 items requested yesterday. So
Okay. All right, that's a great status. Thank you for the update.
Since you asked, so that is the last year's audit.
Right.
That's moving along. Appreciate Colin Jones doing that. That's probably, what, 2 months earlier than we got last year?
Yeah.
So that's a good indicator.
We better be last year.
And also, about a month ago, we put out the request for proposals for 3 years in the future. And those proposals came in. In my review of our statutory requirements, I was thinking we would run a normal selection process like we do and make a recommendation to the council. Audits are handled differently once I read the statutes. And so for audit selection, we have to form auditor selection committee, auditor review committee, I think is the proper term. That auditor review committee by state statute has to have a council member on it, and then 2 other members, a committee of 3. The other members cannot be city employees, which kind of makes sense. We don't get to pick our auditor. So Councilman Knight had a lot of questions on that. And so, well, I would say it'll be up for, in the April meeting, it'll be up to the city council, who the city council would like to appoint as the committee chairperson from the city council. And then I am trying to find 2 residents that would be willing to serve on that audit review committee. And I already have one of the 2. It looks like it would just be, since we already have the proposal, we've got the scoring sheet. I think it would be maybe an hour of their time looking it over, the 2 proposals, scoring it, and then coming in for one public meeting of the audit review committee to cross-level their scoring, come up with a recommendation for the city council, so that the city council in the May meeting can select the auditor for the future 3-year audits, 3 years of audits. So it's a little more delayed, but the good thing is we don't need this auditor fielded until next year anyway, so the timing is going to be fine.
The only hiccup could be our selection of the 2 citizens to be on the ARC. And whether or not we advertise that, or are we just going to ask people? Because of course we've had problems with that in the past. And so are we going to?
Charter review.
Yeah, well, the charter review, we've advertised.
We've
People
done
are just-
everything, yeah.
Right, no, but I'm thinking about when we lost Speedy and how we replaced him. We were criticized by our process there by not advertising and giving time for citizens to step forward and volunteer and all that. And so that's the only hiccup I see here. Otherwise, I think everything's great. So I'll leave that to your decisions, Mayor. Are we proceeding? Is the city manager proceeding in a way you're comfortable with?
Yeah.
Or,
I
okay,
think so.
all right, please proceed then.
And I'm also, the 2 asks that I've had are actually citizens, residents who have already served on city boards or committees, just because I know they've been processed and thought through and had interest in participating. This one's a low level participation,
Right.
so.
And for all practical purposes, this meeting is telling the public, if you're interested,
Yeah.
please see the city manager.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. And the only one on here, and I should have been prepared, so we're on income and expenses for Community Redevelopment Trust Fund. The only expenditure in February is $41,000 of parks improvements, and I don't have an answer on that one. I'd have to go back and look at what that is, Tiffany.
We have the Lake Geneva restoration.
Oh, that's what, no,
No?
that number is way too close to the Lake Geneva restoration. We need to double check that.
I think that's what we gave
That's,
to the county as part of the contract for the Lake Geneva
The
project.
41,000, yes.
the number's too close, let me check, that might be a
Yes.
mistake, we're gonna go double check that one, because the number is way too early close to that number, and I can't think of, the parks improvement would have only been maybe a payment on that septic to sewer conversion, and it was nowhere near that much, so IO due out, we'll take that one and take a look at that. 41050. Alright. And then that's all I had on community redevelopment trust fund. And then balance sheet, same issues. And then I'm ready to go on to cemetery if y'all have any, unless y'all had anything on the previous.
Nope, I'm good. Did I move on to cemetery?
I'm good.
So on the top end on income in the cemetery, you're seeing typical activity, burial permit income of 500, our typical cell phone tower rent, which comes in a little over 1,700. And it looks like we've had quite a few lot sales at 4,000. Actually, with our new fees, that's two lot sales for the income. Expenses, just some deed recording, typical legal expenses that automatically come out, and staff services expenses that automatically comes out. So that's the only transactions in the cemetery fund.
So, 2 questions for me. First is building repairs. Those were significantly more than what our year-to-date budget, but they're 5,000 less than our annual budget. So my question is, how much more are we expecting in building repairs, and are we above or below where we want to be for the year?
We're about where we expected to be. So we're doing some of these that is, how do I say this? In February and March, we did the doors that have been swapped out. The building's still got to be painted, and so those are some of the coming repairs that were expected. Where when I built this budget, I didn't build enough in as if we want to get after, I think the road, the soft area of the road there in between the 2 sections of the cemetery. If we were to get after that, there's not enough in what was budgeted. There's plenty of funds in the cemetery fund to do that repair, but I did not budget enough to get after that last goal for the year. Was to do some drainage improvements and either asphalt or millings in there to get that stronger. That is the one item that 15,000 is not going to fully fund. Getting the building overhauled and finished out will be fine.
So what do you think you're gonna do?
In the mid-year, come back to add more in the budget to get that road network repair done.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion. Now, I'll go back and look at the estimates. I just don't recall, it's in the budget sheet, I just don't recall how much I estimated on each of the different repairs.
Okay. A generic comment. From all of my background in finance, the general number is 4%. What am I talking about? If you want a infinite perpetual fund to continue to exist, you will only take 4% out of it every year, and then it will exist for forever. It should. In fact, average return on investment for any 25-year period of the stock market is 8%. So if you're only pulling 4%, the fund is growing somewhat. But you want it to grow because there's this thing called inflation. And so if we want this cemetery fund to exist for forever, so we take care of these plots for forever, then we need to try to work toward a capital fund that we can pull 4% out of every year, and that 4% is sufficient for operations and maintenance for the year. I don't know where we are, or if we're thinking like that.
There are two, Tiffany, there's 2 accounts. There's the operating account, and then there's the perpetual fund. Perpetual fund is only $45,000.
Yeah, that's
However, what's sitting in the main account for this is $450,000 to be okay, sorry, Yeah, 500. If you look at the total what's sitting in checkings and savings for the cemetery fund is, when you look at there's 2 CDs that are there as well, $500,000. So that's effectively where the perpetual fund is sitting. We haven't worked through. We'll get it all sorted out. What is truly called perpetual, but that's the amount that you're seeing.
And so if we were talking about 4% of that, we're talking about $20,000 per year for operations and maintenance, and this fund will go on for forever. Is $20,000 enough? And I would say it's not. Matt's salary alone will not be covered by $20,000.
Oh, if there was no income, yes.
Right. Well, the income means that you've got more plots and more business and that kind of stuff
Mhm.
going on. And you're gonna eventually run out of plots. So you cannot count on income to go on for forever. And so my encouragement, and I don't know how you feel about this, but my encouragement is we need to establish a goal of how much to be in our perpetual fund, and we need to be marching toward that goal so the perpetual fund will forever take care of the cemetery. And $500,000 sounds like a lot of money. It's not enough. It will not take us for forever. And so in your spare time, when you're not busy with something else, I would like you to work on a goal.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
How much future, as far as the
50
sites, do we have
50
left
years.
in that property? I mean, that we could sell?
The range is 40 to 60 years, depending on how many plots are sold per year. I ran the numbers on this. Councilman Knight asked me about this 6 months ago, and so when I ran the numbers of how many plots we still have available, taking the what's the niches, the columbarium, sorry, taking the columbarium out of the
Just looking
calculation,
at the ground.
we had somewhere between 40 and 60 years of availability in the city. It depended on if you assumed that, if you took the highest year that we'd seen in the last 10 years of plot sales, we had 40 years of, at that rate, for 40 years, we could sustain that level of plot sales. If you took the average, it took us up to, I think it was 50 to 60 years of availability, just dirt plots.
What's the average cost per plot? 2,000.
Well, right now, it's 2,000. With the new fees that we're charging, it's 2,000 per plot. The columbarium, I think the current number for a niche is 1,000. And in both the niche and the columbarium for ashes, for urns to go into, or if you can have 2 burials in one of our plots for a typical dirt plot. So both of them can handle two burials effectively.
And the city's been around 100 years, and so 40 to 60 years, it's done. No more income.
Right.
And so perhaps that's a good target date to hit our goal by 40 years from now or something like that. I'll let you work that details.
Makes sense. And the good thing is that columbarium potentially extends the time frame, especially as we now have finally actually created, it used to be they were about the same price, which didn't make a whole lot of sense, but the new fee schedule, we've created a price differential between a typical burial plot and a columbarium option. So we're kind of spreading out. So we should see probably even more of an extension in that.
And then on the profit loss budget performance for the cemetery, under total expenses, we have a line, and then below that, we have another line with negative numbers. And my reaction is that line shouldn't be there. What do you guys think?
We've had this come up. We've caught some of these that pop up in the report in the general fund, but I suspect it's just something we've got to delete out. It was calculating something, but it doesn't come with a title. So we'll take a look at it. I don't think it's anything to be concerned with.
I think this used to be what used to be called the gross profit. And the numbers match. If you look at the income versus the total income versus the total expenses, that's the difference right there.
Okay.
And so this would be a net loss. And it would say that our budget for the cemetery, we have planned an annual loss of $9,500. I'm not sure that was what our budget was a planned loss.
I'll have to go in and take a look at it, cause well, I'll look at it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, you know what, but if you look down below it, which, I don't like the way this report's set up, that's balanced out almost equally by interest income from CDs.
There it is.
So I think that's what happened.
So that should go up in the income portion of the report.
I agree with you. Tiffany and I have talked about this, it's just.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right, take care of that and we're all good.
Yep. All right, that is February performance. And I've got all those notes.
All right, next is assets over $5,000, the list.
All right, so, Councilman, this is the continuing discussion, and we get you the initial cut. What we have in the documents that are attached are two sets of reports. The first one, actually, it's all in one spreadsheet. Tiffany got it down. Tiffany, you mind if I look at that real quick? And this was the report from QuickBooks. This is, sorry, okay, I tell you. So we've got a report for what's actually sitting in QuickBooks, and it looks like this. And then the insurance company recently came out and did an inventory, and that's this spreadsheet. Those are the two documents we have. And so, I'll be honest with you, I haven't spent too terribly much time going through them. But between these two documents will be our first cut of going through and identifying the assets that we have on hand over $5,000. And then in the last meeting, Councilman Lewandowski, what I said was I think it would take us about 6 months to go through actually walking through the buildings, facilities, cross-referencing the items that are on this sheet that are over 5,000, cross-referencing what we're paying on insurance that's over $5,000, and coming up with a final version of what is our asset inventory of the assets that are over $5,000. And what I would say is I go back to, we also need to, in that ongoing discussion with Paula Jones right now, to make sure that that all nests and we don't kind of make something funny with the auditing process, to make sure it all matches up in the lines.
There's another one to do our depreciation schedule.
That's correct, thank you. That depreciation schedule process, I meant to say that when you were talking earlier, that it's separate from we pay additional funds and have our auditor do that process for us.
Right, because of course, why I'm asking this is because we want to plan for eventual replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And so how far in its life has it gone? Is it due to expire soon? Are we gonna get more or less life out of it? And how do we need to plan in the budget to replace some of these major capital items? So I think that this is a very good start.
Yeah.
Keep moving, you're doing the right things. I appreciate you updating us too. I very much appreciate that.
I mean, it's important for us to have our arms around all those assets, because it's the surprises that you hate, right? It's like your AC goes down, it's gonna cost you $15,000 in your home, and you go, oh, I gotta figure out where to get that $15,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I personally don't like surprises like that.
I don't want a truck breaking down on Public Works and we're not ready to replace it. I don't like that idea.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
the first time I've ever seen this.
Yeah, me too. You know, I've been around for a while. First time I've ever seen that too.
Yeah. So great job, y'all, because I know that's a lot of work.
That's a great start.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, Madam Mayor, I think the next item is the draft mid-year budget.
Let's see here.
We're talking about the proposed amendments for the.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just bear with me, I'm trying to get my hard copy version of it. I've got a working copy, it's digital, but it's a little different.
No, I think your format here with the red and
Very
the
helpful.
actual, I think that'll make things much easier for the council to identify what's going on and vote on easily.
And the one thing I did notice on this, after I built it, we posted it and printed it, Councilman Lewandowski, is that the hard thing is it's hard to look at what that changes from. And so when I redo this one, I need to have a column that's the original budget, so it's a little bit easier to see what the changes
I
are.
agree.
Because I realized after I did it, I'm making y'all do a whole lot of math.
No, because
And going back to previous
yeah, I
documents.
went to my previous notes.
Yes, sir. So I acknowledge that the next version of this will run that. So on this one, I think that, and I'll just talk big highlights, and is that if you look at the overall budget, it looks like the new number in the amendments of income, excuse me, is going to be on the second page, and that's $1,589,457.19. If you look at expenses, so if you go all the way to the back of it, and I like to just get you big item numbers, the expenses in the amended budget come out to $1,740,645 for a difference of $151,000. So that obviously is, we're not in the clear on this. What I want to point out, when we built the original budget, the council authorized roughly a $70,000 deficit when we authorized the general fund budget. And so this one has shifted. If you look at this number, about, well, what is that? 170, so whatever that balance is.
90,000
Yeah,
or so.
90,000 or so. One of the big chunks in here we're about to talk about is I put in the impact of a potential request from Friends of Keystone Heights is budgeted into that. So that's a $25,000 ask. We'll talk about that. I have subsequently gone through and looked through budgets and found some issues with this draft. And in my working version, I have brought this down. If you look at that difference, I'm going down and take a look at it here real quick. So that difference of 151,000 is down to, it's down to 136,000. So I found some other issues in the calculations or when I've done some detailed assessments that brought that down a couple of, brought it down a few $1,000s. I think there's more work that needs to be done as I go back into this draft. But ultimately, the big message with this is expenses have come in heavier than I have been able to negate with cost savings. And I think if we work at it and I look through it, we'll get it much closer down to about what we budgeted at. We may be within 10 or 20,000 more than what we budgeted at. But we are definitely not coming in cheaper than coming in under budget for the year. And then we can go through the specifics, because I think that's important to see what's changed and talk through what's driving that.
So I assume your red is the budget amendments?
The red are budget amendments that are increases in cost. So either if it's red in the income area, it's less income than we expected. If it is red in the expenses area, it's more expenses than were originally budgeted. If it's green in the income area, we're expecting more income to come into that budget line item. If it's green in the expenses, I expect our expenses to be less.
So are all the red and all the green amendments that you are recommending?
Yes, sir. In the draft, yes. Oh, I take that back. The only one that needs to be discussed will be the next agenda item. There is an amendment on the, I put it on the budget line item for Centennial Celebration.
Yeah, number 10.
That's the one. I'm not just saying I recommend it. I just wanted to show the impact or have that in there because it's
Just so we can see what it's
right. Exactly. It was pertinent to our discussion today, so to make sure that was in there. Other than that, these are all right now my recommendations. So I have, like I said, in the last week, I've actually found some more and some more edits. These just don't show on this one, but we'll use this as the working document today.
just to clarify the timing on this. And our guest here, she's on the agenda. Are you okay with going through all this stuff, or should we? Okay.
100%.
She's next on the agenda.
Okay.
So,
All right, I just-
Keeps down.
I didn't want to waste your time if you needed to go somewhere
She's
and do
sitting
something
there going,
else.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you need me to not be?
No, I think it's
No,
great
okay.
that you're here.
Yeah, we love.
Yeah, I just, if you got other stuff to do, I don't want to stop you. All right, two things that concerned me from last time were the budget increases on health insurance and the FRS match.
Yes, sir.
Those together were $232,000 in additional cost for the
Yes, sir.
city. And so, when we bring this before the council, at least those two items, I want us to discuss what has happened and why it's happened. So that, I mean, when you're taking, that's almost 20% of our whole budget.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
huge amount
Mhm.
for our budget. And so, I think it's worth a discussion with the entire council.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And for timing purposes, this is our first draft at the amendment, but we're gonna wait till the 6-month or end of March data comes in, correct?
That's correct. This was just the first crack. I think our heavy discussion of what this committee is gonna take to the city council is the
Right.
next meeting, next budget finance.
Right. And so we will have our next budget finance meeting in April, which will have the 6-month data, meaning that we can bring proposed amendments into the May meeting. Okay? Is that, we'll all agree that's the plan?
Yes, sir. That was the plan as I thought.
Okay, all right, just clarify. Okay,
And-
well,
And I'm happy to talk these individually, Councilman Lewandowski.
I don't need to at this time. These are the preliminary numbers. You know, we're not gonna get the final numbers till our next meeting.
Right.
So I'd rather have that discussion
Okay.
than do it twice. Let you guys do your work, and I'm gonna stay out of it.
I know how hard that is.
Then I'll look at it.
And you know, just looking back, when we were looking at staffing, and it's so important to me that the whole staffing thing, we went through so much, that we continue to support everything that we're offering until we can do a deeper analysis. And I did reach out to one of my contacts before the League of Mayors, waiting to hear back from him
Mhm.
on HR resource for consulting purposes for us, for
Oh,
our
good.
city.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And,
ma'am.
just so we can, like you were concerned about, holidays, et cetera. But as a reminder, and some of my, information shows 60% of our general fund should be staffing, salaries, benefits, et cetera. Which is how we came up with the plan that we have in place. So, it's probably time to take a look at that again, see where we are, and adjust if we have to, whatever, I don't know. But, I'm still waiting, and I will try to reach him this week.
Mhm.
He said he wanted to call me, and then he didn't call me back, so now I've got to track him down. But I will come back, and I hope by the April meeting, have you some kind of recommendation on that.
Yes, ma'am, I
Just
appreciate
to
it.
look into, right?
And just to look, if you look at the current numbers, so with this amendment, I ran the calculations with all the fringe, all the labor,
Mhm.
even, and this actually includes city council, the stipends and all that. So that whole calculation is sitting somewhere between 60 and 65% of expenses. So we're even with these accurate assessments on these, with FRS and the health benefit, the city's sitting with our employees and staff right in that range. that
Right, and you've
most
added really
people-
2 more spots, I think, what we originally, I think we had a total of, I wanna say 12, so you've added another 4, right? So I think you had 16. Some are
It's-
part-time,
It's
but
correct, one of them,
we had 12
one of,
full-times, and then you've added some,
yes, ma'am, that's right.
correct.
Mhm.
But we've also added all kinds of resources here, and all the work that's being done everywhere. So, I mean, I see the need to do it, and I'm totally okay with it. I just think we have to just keep that in mind, and we'll get some professional services to help assist us with that. I mean, they need to do it anyway, just because, you need formal job descriptions, you need pay scales, these things, and PAs on each employee, so that they have that, and you get the feedback. Just need some kind of structure, from the HR perspective, I think. It supports the staff. They decide to move on, they got references they can use, and, we hire new people, we already have the description, a job description advertised. I remember, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it was like, who's on third? I mean, we didn't have any of that. So, in all fairness to everyone involved, I think that is the right approach. So,
I would like more sophistication. Okay, a survey of our employees done annually. How happy are they?
a 360 like thing. They used to have to do 360 all the time.
Self-reflection.
We did do one last year.
Okay, good,
Oh,
let's
you
do
did?
it again.
Good. Oh, good.
Let's do it again,
Yeah, I think-
after a year.
And the general consensus, well, it might have been two. It's been recent,
Yeah.
and everybody was happy. I mean, there was very few complaints, it was done anonymously.
You can't please all the people all the time. But if there is a trend, it will show up
Yeah.
in those kinds of surveys. And so, a one-off or a two-off that are unhappy, okay. But if you got 50% of your staff is unhappy, that's a trend. That's a problem.
Especially if it's about one specific thing.
Right.
I mean, I think everything's really cohesive, but, we don't know everything, so, I think it's fair to everyone. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if they did that with us, and how we interact with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that
Because
should be-
we have to
that
give
should
the
be
same,
part of that.
respect to them, like we do with each other, that's only fair. So, I think it's a good idea.
So that kind of thing, I would go along with that. What are the trends for FRS? What did we pay 2 years ago? What did we pay last year? What did we pay this year? How is that compared to other cities? Healthcare expenses. What are the trends going on with that? What did we pay 2 years ago? What did we pay last year? What are we paying this year? How does that compare to other cities? Again, get more sophisticated. Now, that's a lot more work. Is it high priority? No. Okay, I would say you've got a lot of other higher priority items to work on. But don't lose it, keep it on your bucket list, not bucket list, get it on your to-do list. And eventually you might get there. And let's make this a first-class city, professionally run, sophisticated. Anyone asks us a question, we can explain just about everything then.
Right, and I think that's where the HR consultant role comes into play, is put all this on them to help us, because it's a third-party opinion versus getting it too personal, you know what I mean? And then they can really kind of look at some of those requests and then lay it out for us. And then they can also, that's why I'm gonna start with Leading Mayors, because I figured they probably already know people who do it for other cities. And so it's good because they come to you with that experience, municipality experience. I totally want someone who has that kind of experience. I think it's important.
That's great.
So, I will find out, and if I have to either go to other mayors directly, I will. But,
And what I'm getting at is just because we're a small city doesn't mean we shouldn't do things
oh, yeah.
at a much higher level.
Yeah.
Let's do
We're
it.
small but mighty.
Yes, we are. And we have a very capable staff,
Oh, yeah.
and let's step up.
We're doing things way, way above folks our size around
Yeah.
the state,
Yeah,
I think.
we're good.
So very good.
I'm gonna say it. Leadership matters.
Oh. Well, I think I look at it like we're a team, we're one, and
Absolutely.
I think it becomes infectious, the interactions with us, the positive attitude, and us as a team together, including the staff. We all treat each other very respectfully, and we all try to work toward the same goals. And, we don't just kick something down the curb for 10 years now. That's just not the attitude. And I'm really proud of where it's at and where it's going. So,
And I look at, I've been a youth sports coach for decades, and I don't ask my students, my youth athletes to back off and make it easier. No, I put a little pressure on them. I want them to get better. I want our team to be better. And so I'm not gonna yell at them, but I'm gonna ask a little more. And so they're kind of doing that here. We're a team, and I want this to be a high performance team, so I'm gonna ask for a little more. And if I ask for too much, you let me know and I'll back off, okay? All right? But I'm gonna ask. That's just who I am.
Because it needs to be sophisticated.
Well, what are my words?
I keep forgetting that Tiffany has her own. What did he call that?
She's got a good memory.
Thinking I go,
Not that word again.
All right, Madam Mayor, I think we're on to Friends of Keystone Heights. Funds
Yes.
request.
Alrighty, so, you read this, or? I know Deirdre
Good thing
said-
we invite Friends of Keystone Heights.
Yes, so, right, would you like to have any words, Miss Deirdre? About, this request for $25,000 for Friends of Keystone?
Good morning, Mayor Rodenroth and Councilman Dan Lewandowski.
Is the microphone is green?
It's green.
Okay, you just need to maybe get it.
Maybe I need to.
There you go.
There we
Got it
go.
there.
On my right-hand side. So I am Deirdre Murphy. I'm representing the Friends of Keystone Heights. We are requesting a funds request for $25,000. Just for the record, the Friends of Keystone Heights is a 501(c)(3). We're a nonprofit organization. We were formed roughly 5-6 years ago when we originally came together and wanted to address the Keystone Heights centennial that was coming up, and those 5 years with COVID in between came on us very quickly. Right now we are a 7-member board of directors. We do have a president and we have a secretary treasurer who is fulfilling the same role. We vote as a board and we have, quorum restrictions and those kinds of things. We just do not have the restrictions of a board with the city in that we can't discuss things outside of our meetings. So we don't have any sunshine law restrictions. So as you all know, we did originally come together to put this on the agenda for the city council meeting. I'm not sure if you received the agenda application submission form or if you've had a chance to read that. Can I share that with you?
Can I come up here?
Yeah.
Just about like-
Thank you.
There's no bail at the town.
So this is the form that we were required to submit to be on the agenda for, and then I was told that I needed to come here instead. So.
City versus city council. Go
Versus
before the
city council.
I thought it would be better to discuss it here first before going.
And
to
it
city
made
council.
sense to me also, because coming to you first, then you would have an opportunity then to have the knowledge, since it's $25,000, to be able to make that proposal to the council. So, basically the Friends of Keystone Heights, we're a nonprofit, like I said. Our first project was to handle everything with the Keystone Heights Centennial for 2025. But we wanted to be an ongoing organization and not just stop at that one piece. And the major projects that we have put together is we put on the Mayor's Ball. Now traditionally, the Mayor's Ball, which was put on by various organizations throughout the history of Keystone, it kind of got dropped, and then it was taken up by another organization, and then it was dropped again, and there was no consistency. So with the Friends of Keystone Heights, we would really like to make that a tradition, something that is ongoing. I think what it does is it pulls all the community members and businesses into one room, and it highlights the mayor, the city, what we're doing, because it gives the mayor the opportunity, whoever's in office, the opportunity to really explain to all of the business leaders and community members what is going on in the community if they really don't attend the city council meetings. It's really a snapshot of what the city has done that year. It's always so well received. And we do host a full dinner. I know you've all attended. We host a full dinner. We do have entertainment. So we would like to continue with that tradition. We also have included the spring fling. That was something new that the Friends of Keystone Heights has brought to the community. And this involved, it was really, the idea behind that was community involvement. So we wanted something that was free and open to the public, that we would provide for the citizens of Keystone Heights. And it's held out at the airport. We bring in vendors, bounce houses, food trucks. Rotary is having a car show there. It's again well received, and it's free because we do other fundraising with, with the mayor's ball and things like that. In addition to that, we decided to put on a New Year's Eve fireworks to kind of have the culmination of the centennial for 2025. What we did find was that it was so well attended. We had rave reviews. People thought that this was even better than the 4th of July celebration. And because it was free, the reception was amazing. I mean, I was at the gate checking armbands, which we did put on everyone, so we had a count of the number of people that were going down to the beach. 110%, like everyone was like thrilled with this. So all of these things, of course, need funded. Everyone on the board for the Friends of Keystone Heights, we are 100% volunteers. No one receives a dime. And it's, of course, the same people that are doing everything in Keystone Heights. So we are coming to you to say that that's not where we want to stop. We want to also provide additional things to enhance our downtown core. We will be trying to do fundraising as well, but we do need that bulk to get us going to do the projects that we already have in place. And we'd like to plan other things that are going to enhance the community. And we've talked about, but nothing has been voted on yet, but just to give you an idea, proposing selling bricks to put in the downtown area once we have the DOT situation laid out with the corner, and I know that there's funds there that are going to be used for enhancing the downtown area with regards to aesthetics. And we're thinking that by doing some kind of selling of these bricks with people's names on them, they can be incorporated in the town. It's community involvement. Everything that we're doing is to get the community involved in Keystone Heights. Another idea that has been proposed is to have a city clock. I do not know one town anywhere, even smaller communities than Keystone Heights by far, that doesn't have a city clock. And that's just such a prominent thing in a community. And I think that's something that the Friends of Keystone Heights could do. So we are coming asking for these funds so that we can help, in concert with the city and what their goals are, so that we can act in our voluntary way. It saves the city from having to hire more employees to do these things. I think that our current events person, Drew, is absolutely amazing. She has done an exceptional job. However, she could not take on 5 more large projects. I don't think that any way the city could put together all of these things without more people. And everyone in Friends is volunteering. So with that, I thank you. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
So maybe more for the mayor's benefit than anything else, this goes back decades with an organization called Our Country Day. And they used to run July 4th here in town. And they would all do all the fundraising, and they would set everything up. We had a street dance, we had parade, we had blah, blah, we had 5K run, all that kind of stuff. And the only thing that the city paid for was the fireworks, because that was a major expense. And Our Country Day raised all their own money, and there was a big deal because one of the major fundraisers was sales of alcohol at the street dance. And there's some people in town that are anti-alcohol, and so we had trouble. We used to do the street dance literally in the street down here downtown, and then it was moved, and at one point we did it out by Riviera Tire. We did the street dance out there. Then another time we did the street dance at the airport. Then several times Our Country Day asked to do the street dance here at the beach and use the parking lot as a street dance area. But the city denied them the sale of alcohol. And that was their main fundraising activity. And so eventually Our Country Day went away. The city wasn't a great supporter of it. It wasn't against it either, but we didn't try to give them any money or anything like that. And so I view Friends of Keystone Heights as the new Our Country Day.
We are not.
Okay, so tell me how you are different.
Well, I have a little bit of history about Our Country Day as well. And they did put on the street dance. That was their main thing. And like you said, it was alcohol, and it was crazy. It was flat out
We
crazy.
had to eventually go to tickets, and they could only do so many tickets.
I went to one event. I would never go again.
I went, it was fun.
Well, I just like to say that the spring fling and the things that we're putting on are family friendly. There is no alcohol. There's no coolers. And the same with the fireworks. And everything in our budget, as with everything in life right now, is going up. Our expenses are going up. So when we put on the mayor's ball, everything that we need, whether it's the band, entertainment, food, all of those expenditures are going to go up. The fireworks we got last year for an amazing price, and that was because they want the city to use them this 4th of July or upcoming 4th of July's. And so we would never have gotten that fee or reduced fee had that not been the case. They're looking to get into the city. And then again, all of the other things that we want to accomplish. We have been very fiscally responsible with the funds that have been provided to us. And we are really more diverse. So we're not just one and done. We're doing a 4th of July event with fireworks and a chaotic street dance. Have you ever attended?
Yes, I have. It was not that bad. It was a lot of fun, actually.
I don't know. It's not how I
My
saw
only
it.
experience was in 2017, we moved here. So I guess my first July 4th was 2018. And they had, I guess, the street dance. It's when they had all the folks downtown doing things. I want to say that was then. But then they moved some stuff out to
It was
Riviera
Hitchcock's. Yeah.
Tire. Yeah, and that was,
It was-
nobody came. I mean,
it
we were
was
there, they were selling alcohol and stuff, but
awful.
nobody, we went with 2 other couples, and I bet there weren't 15 people there. So the location in this city actually really does matter when you're doing things, without a doubt, for attendance. I personally am in favor of alcohol at some events, And I do have some ways of us bringing it in without us selling it, as a city. I've reached out to other cities already. I already have their ordinance and what they use in their city, and it works. And, cause I know I got pushback in my year one requesting that, but I'm not done with that yet. Only for certain things. But I'm all about family friendly. And, I think that that is our hallmark, for this community with the size of the age of families that are here. But, you know, also they like to have alcoholic beverage as well. So like I said, for some events, I'm in favor of, serving alcohol, but maybe we don't sell it is what I would care about. But that's for another time.
Well, for the Friends of Keystone, that's not even an issue. That's not what we're about. We're not about doing that. We are about family friendly, 100%. The Mayor's Ball, there is, I believe, wine and beer. We have got around that. We do not sell that. It's ticketed driven. But that's kind of you have to purchase a ticket to go to that event. And it's, you know, everyone in the community and businesses, so it's in an inside location. It's not out in the street. It's completely different. The Mayor's Ball is not a rowdy event.
It's less fun.
Well, we all are about fun. However, we would like to put on some other things, and we think that we can, as a group and an organization, do things that the city cannot do because the city does not have the staffing for it and never will. And that is why I think that supporting our organization with the leadership that we have in place is something that is a benefit to the city.
So, first of all, the Friends of Keystone Heights is wonderful. Everything that they did for the centennial celebration, I mean, it was so great. Everything that was done. But the continuation of Friends of Keystone Heights, I think, is a new idea. And there is no doubt that the city could use your help. You know, Drew cannot do everything. There's no doubt. The big question in my mind is, what is the best way forward? Because there's a million different things we could do here. And I'll go back to the Mayor's Ball. This happened when I was on council the first time, and I brought it up to our mayor, Tony Brown. I said, why don't you have a Mayor's Ball? Well, to his credit, he jumped all over that. And he said, yeah, we're gonna do that. Great. Well, it was intended originally to be a fundraiser for the nonprofit organizations in town. So 1 year Kiwanis would run it, 1 year Lions Club would run it, 1 year Rotary would run it. And they would charge enough that they would make money on the event. It would not be a money-losing thing. And the mayor would sit down with the Rotary Club, or the mayor would sit down with Kiwanis, or whoever was running it that year, and they would work within a budget, and the mayor would do their thing, because it's a mayor's ball after all, and say, this is what I'd like to have, and then work within the budget, and that would be how it, and that's how it did until the pandemic, or close to it. And then the pandemic killed it. And so it's been recreated lately, and that would be the first thing that I would ask our mayor, is how would you like to do this? Because I truly believe this should be her thing. And she says how she would like it run. And if she needs some money from the city, then come to the city and ask the council, and maybe we'll give some money for it. My overall thing with this is I would want more fidelity. Or I would say, give them $5,000 and see what they do with that. And then maybe look at another $5,000 or $10,000 in that. I don't like writing a blank check and I don't know exactly what it's for. I don't want to pay for a $5,000 band to play at the Mayor's Ball. I don't think that's a good use of city money. And so, let me say again, I love the Friends of Keystone Heights. You're wonderful. All right, I'm just a little more careful. I want a little more detail before I say yes to.
Well, I'm here to answer any of those questions. Our band was $700. So we are not spending, we are very fiscally responsible, and we can show you our numbers if that's what you need. But to go back to the Mayor's Ball, What happens in these organizations, and what I have seen in the past happen, where they take on such as the mayor's ball, and then they're not doing it the following year. Another organization is. And then another organization. And by the time it rotates around to back to Rotary or Kiwanis or whoever, there's a whole new set of people in that leadership role who may or may not feel that the mayor's ball is their responsibility. That's how things get dropped. The consistency of the Friends of Keystone Heights is what's important, so that we're putting on the mayor's ball every single year. Everyone that's running it then can pass down that information to the next set of directors. It's the consistency that is important. The second thing is we want to make the spring fling become something that happens every single year in Keystone, just like we have the 4th of July celebrations. In addition to that, all of the items that we, everything from food costs, silverware, plates, decorations for the events, we all go through every single item and determine what is going to be the least expensive way to accomplish, yet make it a highlight of the community event, such as the Mayor's Ball. If it becomes the same old thing every single year, people are not going to attend. And so we need to bring our game. And the people that are on the Friends of Keystone Heights board are exceptional. That I just don't even know how else to say it.
I agree.
And so you're not getting a different shift of, oh, it's Rotary this year, and it's Kiwanis next year, and then another group organization, and you don't know who the leadership is at each stage or what they think is important. And so that's the idea behind the Friends of Keystone Heights coming to you asking for these funds, because we want to create a legacy within Keystone Heights that we're doing more than just putting on a mayor's ball and a spring fling. We have decided this year that we want to put on the fireworks for, of course, our 250th year for the country. We want to do fireworks on New Year's Eve again because it was so well intended. But although it hasn't been addressed again formally on a vote, we're thinking the direction is to be doing fireworks every single year on New Year's Eve. It was just so well attended. It was fun. Again, family friendly, at the beach, no alcohol involved. And so...
And I don't think anyone else in the county had a
They don't?
New Year's Eve fireworks show.
Right.
We heard that. I mean, we had people come from Palaca, from St. John's, St. Augustine Beach. People came here that I talked to as they went through the gates, and they just said that it was amazing. It was better than what they could have even thought that they would have had in their own city.
Right.
So I was frankly surprised, just like you were.
Well, it was so smartly done too. I mean,
Yeah.
like the fireworks were at 9 o'clock, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, so when you can bring families and you can not have to worry about little kids falling asleep at midnight and all
Yeah.
that
Right.
stuff.
It was over like at 9.
It was very well done.
Yeah.
Really well done.
Well, everyone has families that are on, that's a director. And so we're going with that perspective in mind. And we have a very broad group, so it's not, we have a very broad group on our directorship with a lot of talent. And so we're not asking for $5,000 to put on a mayor's ball and spend $5,000 on a band. We're not looking to do that. We're looking to create a legacy within Keystone Heights and a consistency that we can offer not just these programs, but other things such as enhancing the downtown core. Because the money that you get from DOT is a one and done. We want to be here every single year doing something to make the city be more vibrant for the people in the community that already live here. Not just to enhance people coming to our community, but for the people that already live in the community. So again, I do have numbers if you are wanting to ask specific questions about what we have spent the money on, I'm happy to answer any of those things.
Okay, so I have some more questions.
Okay.
Have you worked with our city manager to specifically identify what we have traditionally done in the past versus what you want to do? For example, if you want to be in charge of fireworks, have you talked about that with the city manager? Because we have traditionally paid for that.
Not for New Year's Eve.
We, not for New Year's
But for
Eve,
July
we've
4th.
never had, we're not looking to do July 4th. We're not looking
Okay,
to,
so that kind of specificity is what I'm looking for.
okay,
Okay, and so I guess what I would like to ask is for you to sit down with the city staff, and I don't want to say write a contract because that sounds too binding, but write an agreement of what you think you would do so they know, and what they think they would have to pay for so they know and can budget for it. In other words, an understanding. Communication is key here, so something doesn't fall through the cracks, and so that our city manager knows what he needs to do, and you know what you're signed up to do, so to speak.
we're not trying to step on anyone's toes here.
Oh, no, I'm not
or-
saying that.
Or take over an event that's already handled by the city. We're creating new events.
Okay?
So, and we have talked to the city manager in the past.
We have
Not
details,
at
well,
this,
the team about
detail.
fireworks and cost and
Yes.
coordination.
yes.
And that way Drew, who puts out the schedule of events, she knows what's going on
Oh, I
also.
talk with Drew every day.
That's perfect, okay? You know, and like I've always had the vision that this city should at least have one major event per quarter. So we have our Christmas event, we have our Spring Fling, we have our July 4th, we have our Boo on the Boulevard. Those are our 4 major events. You know, and now, okay, we're gonna add Mayor's Ball. Okay, that's great, I think that's wonderful. You know, or
And New Year's Eve.
okay, so New Year's Eve, so
Here's
now
the
we're
new one.
right. So, but maybe we don't want to do the Mayor's Ball in November and then the New Year's Eve thing right after in December, after Boo on the Boulevard on October 31st. Those 3 might be boom, boom too fast, and we might want to move the mayors.
We do talk with the city and Drew about all of those things. Just so that you know that that is very well coordinated, because she is such an integral part of events. So within the city, so I speak with Drew all the time.
And I would like to ask too that when it comes to the Mayor's Ball, the mayor's the leader, and you, your people are great. They come up with great ideas, and I'd love for them to make suggestions to the mayor. But I think she needs to have final say. It's her ball.
I would 100% agree, and I can assure you, we have spoken about the
Okay.
mayor's ball.
All right.
Um,
And it's great that you're outside the sunshine law too. I mean, this is wonderful that we can do it this way. So there's so many pluses, but I also want to add in that the people who benefit are not just the citizens of Keystone Heights. We have more than 50% are Clay County residents who are not citizens of this city. And for the city to foot the entire bill, in my mind, is not fair. We need money from the county also, because county residents benefit. Have you thought about that?
I don't think that the county residents really benefit from these key things that we're doing now. Now, it might be broader, say for instance, to give an example, the Chautauqua event that the Heritage Commission is putting on, 1,000%, that will be a benefit that is far-reaching beyond not just our county, but lots of other counties. And so that's an example of, but the mayor's ball, the people that are coming to the mayor's ball live here in Keystone.
They don't live in the city limits. The
Oh,
owners
oh.
of businesses don't
So-
live in the city limits.
All right, if we take outside the city limits, and I was just thinking Keystone Heights, then you're right. Any event that we do would be a county thing as well. But if I understand, you are getting, what was it, that's not on the books yet? Another $121,000 from the county?
Okay,
that
so
exceeds
that's
your
different. That's
expectation?
the community redevelopment, the CRA, and that is only for Lawrence Boulevard and Commercial Boulevard, and just for legally reducing blight. That is the phrase, and that's all it can be used for.
Mhm.
So having a street dance is not reducing blight.
I'm not putting on a street dance.
I know, I'm just using that as an example. No, but what I'm
Let's
saying
circle
is-
back.
Right, no, but we cannot use that CRA money for New Year's Eve celebration. We can't do that.
So I have a recommendation. I think where you're trying to go, Dan, and I know that you're very detail-minded, and which is great. That's good because we kind of look at things differently. Is maybe taking the $25,000 request and monetizing specifics for what that $25,000 represents toward those particular events for this year, like for this whole year.
Mhm.
Say a spring thing, the mayor's ball. the
I have that
fireworks.
information.
Yeah, so if we can just, I guess, see it, so get our arms around it and better understand it. And, you know, just from the perspective of all three things. First of all, I mean, you're right, the mayor's ball was kind of there for a while and then it skipped a few years. The consistency of one group handling an event like that is it's gonna deliver a quality experience. And I think we continue to change, it's no different like in council, we have different people who come in and then we got stuff that just gets put quick behind us and we go, oh my God, I thought we were gonna do that, and then it got done, right?
Corporate memory and all
Yes,
that.
all that.
Yes,
So I think having, especially a group that doesn't have to deal with sunshine and all that stuff. I look at your future as Quincy Keystone as being our potential, Keystone Heights Commerce, Chamber of Commerce. Because you're looking at things that is gonna enhance not only the events and the connectivity between businesses and residents, but also the future of what this place is gonna look like. You know, changing the whole feel of it, right? Which is like, I look at the whole Main Street initiative, what they do here is to come in and bring this, we're getting some things, but we just still don't have the bow on it. And we can't depend always on just CRA to be able to get us there, I don't think. I think that's unrealistic. So like you said, the clock, we're looking also at some other enhancements downtown that we wanna do, but we can't do until the corner is finished and all that DOT stuff. So, I mean, I totally see the value and I also see the future of the organization. I don't mind the fact that we have more than 3 or 4 things going on per year if we can manage it financially. Or if we have people that come up, just like, Kiwanis came up with the whole thing with the flags on the patriotic holidays.
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, people come through town and go, oh my God, this is so cool.
Exactly.
Nobody else does that, right?
No,
So-
there's a lot of places to do
Well,
that.
but I
But
mean,
not here.
I'm talking about for every holiday, like every patriotic,
Yeah.
not just July 4th, not just, I'm talking like, other holidays too. And, for a small town to take that on, and it's a club that took it on, it's special because, we put some money to support it, but they're gonna physically do all the work to take it so we don't have to have our staffing do it. So I kind of see the same request kind of role here, that you all are doing all the work, it's just you just need some funds to help you get it off the ground. And I personally feel that all 3 events last year were absolutely outstanding. And I mean, the band was outstanding, I think it was a really good overall quality experience. Just sitting back and watching. And I had a lot of folks come and tell me how much they appreciated the Mayor's Ball and how it was done. So maybe, if we can just take it and just quantify what the 25,000 is targeted for in a more of a, spreadsheet type of thing for our assessment.
Okay.
And then, because we're gonna take it to council too, to approve.
Mhm.
So, and that
Well,
gives them a
and-
better, it'll be good to hear what they have to say as well.
Well, and again, the history here is, these were things that, when we first came together as an organization to focus really on the centennial, it was because the city did not have the staff, the time, the energy to do anything with the centennial. And had it not been for the Friends of Keystone Heights, absolutely nothing would have happened. We just didn't have the way of doing it. And for $25,000, if you think about it, you couldn't hire one person, even if they were full-time, to put on all this, because it really takes a village, and we're that village. So that is why I think that while $25,000 is a lot of money, and I'm not saying it isn't, it is a drop for what we are accomplishing, not what we're thinking about doing, what we have already proven that we can accomplish, and what we're going to do in the future. So I really thank you for your time today.
I'm sorry, can I have two last things?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so the first one is, I would like to offer, if you are willing, in June, to go to a county Board of Commissioners meeting and to ask Clay County to help. As the mayor just recently said, for our New Year's Eve thing, we had people from Palaca, we had people from Stark, we had people from all over come. This should not be paid for only by this city, is my opinion. It is an unfair ask of our citizens that everyone in the area benefits from. And so I would like to ask for help from Clay County, if you are willing.
Dan, I am more than willing to do that.
Okay?
However, I want to say that just personally, I'm not speaking for the Friends of Keystone Heights, but I'm speaking as myself, and you know me. I'm chair of the Heritage Commission as well.
I appreciate that.
I totally disagree with you, because that's to say that absolutely nothing that we do in the city, if it doesn't just benefit our little bubble, that it's not worth doing. We're putting in a sidewalk. Do you think that no one else would, except the people in Keystone Heights living in our little circle of 1 mile radius, benefits from that sidewalk? If we fix roads, does that only benefit the people in the community? No, so that's why would we say then, you know, I'm not trying to open up a can of worms here and have another whole discussion. It's just that everything that we do benefits everyone, and so it should. But the idea is that it benefits the people in Keystone. And for the most part, the things that the Friends of Keystone puts on benefit the people in Keystone, not the whole county or Palatka or any other cities. It just doesn't have that
official,
draw.
though, I have to constantly answer the question, what benefits do I get for being a citizen? And right now the answer is none.
I disagree, because I live in the city limits.
Okay, so what do you get that people outside the city limits don't get?
I get the ability to vote.
That's the only thing.
That is one of the most powerful things, Dan.
That's not what the citizens I talk to say.
Well, then they can have their opinion, but I get to vote for who's on this board.
Uh-huh.
That to me is the most powerful thing in living in the city.
You get say. That's what we talk about.
I get say, but I also get to be involved in a different way than people who are outside of the city limits, because they cannot be on the council, they cannot be on a commission, they cannot be as involved as I am. I'm as involved in this city because I am in the city limits.
Okay.
And I think being in the city limits is an absolute benefit.
Okay, so I'll just say for now, let's respectfully disagree. I
Okay.
think that the people in the city deserve more respect for how their dollars are spent, and not to spend their money to benefit everybody in the local area. And that's how I personally feel.
Then we'd have to have a fence around it.
No.
How do you get people to not come to the park?
No, we just recognize that and we organize accordingly. That's all I'm asking for. That's why I say let's go ask the county for help. Because county residents benefit also. So county taxes should help also. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Yes.
the only argument I can see with that would be to ask for support only for the fireworks show. Because in the county, nothing else was held like a venue like that last year. Whether or not that is.
It's not advertised that way.
It's right, so, but it was, to me, I feel like Green Cove, I look at Orange Park, especially Green Cove now with all the stuff they have around the river. probably more than half the people that come to that are from outside the city of Green Cove Springs, because it's all Clay County. We have the city of Keystone, we have city, but then we have 32656, which is around 16,000 residents. It's about, our 10% that live in the city of that total population. So we have all these folks coming from McRae area to all around, but they are still Keystone Heights. And I think any city experiences exactly that. They can't, it is what it is. People are gonna come. Duval County, you're gonna have people coming from Nassau, up from Clay, whatever, just like people from Duval go down to the fair in Clay. So, to me, if we can find a way to afford it, I think everyone, receives the benefits of it. And yeah, you're gonna still have people that play, I live here too, and yeah, we do have other people who come in, but that's just part of it. What do you wanna do, have 5 or 10 people show up if you say, sorry, we just want residents? Because really, that's what happens. We can see it with our own meetings. They don't come listen to anything we have to say. So, I kind of feel like, it'd be fine to ask maybe just for the July 4th, the New Year's Eve, because of it being probably, and the only reason is maybe because nobody else in the county's having one, and maybe they'd be willing to punch in a couple $1,000 to help out. But in the bigger picture, I think we're granting this as the city of Keystone Heights. And
1,000%, and I also think too, in that larger picture, that every single person, whether they come from 32656 or they're coming from out Middleburg or Orange Park, they're coming into the community, say for the Spring Fling or something like that. And then they're going to lunch here. They're shopping here at Gifts and Guns. They're shopping and they're going to Clyde's. They're going to Whisk. They're having lunch. Those are the things that then enhance our downtown businesses, which in turn then give back to the core residents, because now they have more options for restaurants. We have more options to shop. We have more businesses coming into our community. Things are starting to look like a really cohesive fit for our town of Keystone Heights, and not just Willy Wonka like you see in some of the other communities that are just north of here. I don't want that. I want us to have that small town charm. The way that we keep that small town charm is to have small town businesses.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because many of these events are held and the municipality says you must figure a way out to fund it. And the municipalities do not fund them. And so they have fees for the food trucks, and they have fees for vendors, and they have other fundraisers and things like that. And that's mostly what our Country Day did. They did their own fundraising and their events paid for themselves. So my ancillary concern is if we give you $25,000 to run community events, which is great, and you're absolutely right, there's no way we could pay anyone that amount of money. Okay, what happens when Rotary Club comes to us and says, we want to afford $5,000 to run this community event? And then what happens when Kiwanis comes to us and says, we want $10,000 to run this community
Then you
event?
have to make that decision then. But what I'm saying now is that we have already proven ourselves, and we are an organization like, we're not like other organizations. The other thing too is that every single person on the directors of Friends of Keystone Heights, which I believe is true, are full-time business owners. We have full-time jobs. To ask us to run these events and to be out fundraising, it's not going to happen. You'll lose everybody. They won't do it.
You're probably right.
I know I'm right.
Well, you're one of those business owners, and you know what you would do. All right, well, I like the mayor's suggestion. How about we go with your suggestion then?
we'll just put it on the agenda for the April meeting and let council,
I
hear us
appreciate
out.
you, I really do.
He does. And I get what you're saying too. I mean, I think it's just all about the transparency thing. And you know, you're always gonna have these naysayers that go, well, you know, I don't need to go to Mayor's Hall, or I don't need to, what are we gonna do when the water comes back? We're gonna have people from
Oh
everywhere.
my God.
Dear Lord. But you know what? That's tourism, and that's what economic growth is all about, is when we will get that spend that we had back in the 80s. And then all of a sudden, you're gonna see some new businesses propping up in some of these places downtown that maybe they say, well, I don't wanna keep doing this or whatever, but we will have every single building filled, and we will have people waiting to see one that decides to close, because they're gonna wanna feel that experience that nobody else has. You know, Green Cove's got the river, they got that gorgeous park, they put all that money in, all the stuff they spent money on that. The little downtown area they just paved, ton of money. Well, guess what? We're gonna have something very similar on a much smaller scale, but it will be very different and very unique because of the small town experience. And I just think we can't pick and choose who comes and decides to share that with us. I'm actually really grateful when I hear it, you know, because I do personally look at the whole zip code as I call them all my constituents. I mean, when you get a letter from a second grader in McRae Elementary who doesn't live in the city, and now the things that we're doing with that school and the principal and all the food drive we have going on, it's helping them to feel a bigger part of our community. And I'm really proud of that. I think every one of those 16,000 people are important to all of us. They should be. So it's just how I feel about it. So we'll get that on the agenda, share with the rest of council, get their input.
Thank you.
Let's see what they have to say.
I like it.
Thanks for the debate.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Well, there's different points of view.
Yeah.
We're not all the same.
Yeah, and I hear where you're coming from. Thanks, Deirdre.
Thank you.
Take care, kiddo. Have a good day.
All right, so,
Thank you.
need a quick break?
Let's finish it.
Okay,
Yeah, let's,
let's make sure. So the next item, Madam Mayor, is the, summer concert series.
right.
And so, on your desk was this document.
Yep.
Please don't try and read it. It's like 10 pages long. Drew.
Miss
so-
Detail.
Well, Drew and I
That's all
talked
right.
and said,
She did great.
yeah. What does it cost? What's the time investment if we do summer concert series?
Oh, it's here.
But what does it cost to do a summer concert series? I think two things when we talked about this back in January, I believe, was if you do it monthly or if you do it weekly during the summer in a 4-month range. And so what I asked Drew to do is figure out the time it takes to do an event, and let's run a cost assessment to see what the impact is. And so I think the biggest thing off of this document, this impact and feasibility study, was really, on average, she's estimating, and I agree, about $3,600, $700 per event is a good planning factor when you're looking at paying for the police officers that come, paying for a band to be there, and then some labor costs and everything that surrounds that. And it's deeper in here, but kind of in my discussions with Drew, if you look at how much planning time that takes one person, one full-time equivalent, it's about 2 weeks of her time, a person's time, to pull together all the, coordinating for a band, coordinating for the evenings, coordinating the food trucks, getting site visits conducted, sponsorships, if you're working trying to get sponsorships off some of that cost. Those are some of the things that go into that time. And so if you look at a time and cost analysis, just trying to give it to you, bottom line up front is, I think doing the 3 or 4 summer concert series in the summer, like once a month, is probably in the doable range. When you start to get to once a week, that exceeds our existing capacity. Yeah. And I don't want to come and say can't do it. I think a recommendation that I have from the city manager's perspective is, if we wanted to try to get to a point where we're seeing, is it feasible to do a once a week concert in the park? I think the best way to approach that is to try and put out a request for proposal and see if I could just say it broadly as industry thinks that there's enough there, let the industry look at, you would do sponsorship, you would coordinate it, you would bring the bands in. Can you do that based on sponsorship and create an event that is similar to Green Cove Springs, food trucks in the park? Other municipalities have done this request for proposal process where they brought in a concessionaire that manages it for them. The city effectively gets something that for the city would be no cost but gets events. and the manager, similar, I think, to how the farmer's market kind of ran a decade ago here in Keystone Heights. That would be my recommendation. Or we look at probably three events in the summer that we do these and still run it with city staff. And then after our last discussion with Friends of Keystone Heights is looking at, maybe that's something we look to is, these additional things that Friends of Keystone Heights are looking at doing. Do we see that as an extension of the Keystone Heights events? And could we get at having more things in Keystone Heights through what the Friends of Keystone Heights are saying they'd like to do within the existing events budget? I think that might be something that's possible. One of my biggest, if you look at weekly events, way more than the $50,000 we currently have budgeted for events.
Yeah, I think weekly's too much.
And time constraint is those are the two issues.
Yeah, I mean, even to do the monthly stuff, I think that Green Cove and or Orange Park do, they have like several events people on the team, like dedicated to just that. And they do it monthly, they don't do it every week. The Food Truck Friday thing, I think, is once a month kind of thing.
Probably, I think you're right.
And I think the concerts are also once a month with that, what I remember seeing. I mean, I think, and they do it like every month or several months throughout the year, I think more than 3. But I don't know, Dan, what do you think? I feel like if we did it too much, the goal is to get the crowd. It doesn't matter if it costs $0, if it costs $5, we don't have a crowd, we're wasting money. And that's my whole thing, is what kind of turnout are we gonna get? In the past, we've had pretty decent turnout. The weather's good. People like sitting around listening to music. This is a music city. There's several bands local. A lot of people go and listen to music. A lot of the restaurants now are adapting, bringing in music for entertainment. And I like the idea of being able to offer that, especially on that setting. Our setting is so unique under those trees. It's a perfect spot to do that type of thing. So to me, monthly is definitely 2 or 3 months out of this year. We look at next year maybe differently. I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
And this was easy for me, monthly.
Yeah.
And the only question is that, Drew said 4 months in the summer, are we gonna do 4 or 3 or whatever it is?
Right.
And then we pick a good date that's predictable, like the second Friday of every month. So people don't really have to think about it. Drew recommended a Friday in her report. She said that was probably the best day of the week to do it, and I would go with her recommendation. And then
Definitely on a Friday.
I don't want to do it the first Friday because that's too close to July 4th, and I don't want to mess with July 4th.
And the other thing I do is look at what Orange Park and Green Cove are doing with their monthly concert.
Good idea.
So we're not having the same night that they are having.
Good idea.
One of the conflicts that they're having this weekend, coming up with friends with the Spring Fling, is the RV Resort is having a crafting event, and so is Stark having a Strawberry Festival. So that affected them in getting vendor support, not as much as they had last year. So I think it's all about looking outside our little circle and figure out, same event, who's doing what. And I know they publish them. I've seen Green Cove and she's probably watching them too, Orange Park as well, and Stark. Make sure they don't have a conflicting event that can hurt us, right?
Like Food Truck Friday.
Food Truck Friday's another one.
First Friday of every month.
Right, so maybe we do something on the second
not
Friday.
the Friday, exactly, second or third. something.
Yeah.
In Clay Events, there's an app that Clay is
Yeah, you
running.
can pull it up.
Is it Clay Events? I forget the name of the app.
Give us a do the Food Truck
Explore
Friday.
Clay, sorry.
There you go.
Explore Clay, it has everything. We're
Yeah.
watching to make sure our stuff is
But
showing
also
on there.
with Stark, because that Strawberry Festival, they pull from the same vendor pool, and people go, right? So, and it's also during the day, just like in July 4th happened, a couple of years ago, and they had all that stuff going on, and we're trying to do what we're doing here. So I think just as long as we can identify the dates that are not conflicting with anyone within our circle, our
Okay.
exterior
Yes, ma'am.
metro area. Even in Middleburg, I mean, I don't know if Middleburg does too many formal things like that.
And they don't have a city, they're not incorporated, so
Right,
it's
they
hard.
follow the county.
Yeah. So at least 3 months, so June, July, and August. I don't know what the 4th month that Drew was thinking.
Well, I think when we went back in the video, we talked about potentially starting these in May. I think that's where that month was mentioned.
Okay.
And it actually may make more sense to lean towards doing May, June, skip July just because of the effort that's involved in 4th of July
Yeah, I was
and
thinking the
recovering
same
from
thing.
4th of July.
Yeah.
But we could look
We
at
don't
it
have
in
council
August.
meeting in July either, I think, right? Or we didn't have.
We normally don't,
Yeah,
but
but lately we've been, we need
yes,
to, right?
yeah.
Because we saw it happen, we didn't have one in December.
Right.
Yeah, so I think when we don't have if we skip a month to have it, not have a meeting, because of vacation or whatever, we're gonna have to have 2 meetings the following month too, because I don't wanna do another 4-hour meeting again. Because the agenda, it's so big, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast, and we just have some, I mean, I can just remember being line items, and it'd be like an hour-long council meeting or something, and before all of us here, I can just remember them going never over 2 hours. An hour.
I've been reading through a lot of historical meeting minutes in the 50s and the 60s. They would start at 7:30, and most of them ended at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh my goodness gracious.
When it used to be in the over here in the old city hall.
I won't put anybody through that again. I was terrible.
Just for historical context.
Yeah,
it's
right?
Yankees tonight.
Well,
I
like I
tend to
said,
think, yes, it's not fun, but we get more done.
we do, we get a lot done. I know the county commissioners do this kind of stuff, but I think that when we're talking, not getting done till like 9 o'clock at night, we got all the staff and all here, that's really
It's
hard.
not fun.
It's not fun for everybody, so. So yeah, I'm agreed with, potentially not doing it in July because it is such a big thing with July 4th. And it seems like something else was happening, that, I don't know, I can't remember now. It was back to back, or maybe we changed it was something, maybe it was the Florida League of Cities dinner or something like that. They got right around
That's
July 4th, right?
August is
Was it August?
the conference.
Okay, oh, that's a conference, yeah. But I was thinking when we hosted the last dinner, it was
Oh, that was
conflicting with.
April.
Okay, we had something, or maybe it was April craft thing or something.
We'll look at 3 opportunities and see
Yeah.
when they sit the
And
best
just,
and come back.
whatever, works best to make sure that we're the only thing going on in the whole area, county and Bradford.
If you're gonna do it in May, deconflict with the school, in case there's a sports event
Oh,
or
okay.
something like that, a
Yes.
play or something like that.
Yeah, they have prom coming up and graduation and stuff like that.
Absolutely. We'll try to look at all
Okay,
that.
appreciate
And
you
I
doing
know
all
Drew's
this work.
listening in, so Drew's gonna look at that. I want to say it again, Drew put a lot of effort in this after my ask, because I wanted to give you all an honest answer.
That'd be great.
When we
No,
talked about
appreciate
weekly,
you
what
doing
that was
that.
gonna cost
Absolutely.
and the impact.
Well, it's good for us to be able to see, because sometimes you just look at the round number and you don't know, like, okay, so what does that really mean? And the reality is, it's a lot of stuff, involved.
Yeah, if you want to take a peek into Drew's world, read the additional pages.
Yeah.
I didn't realize to
Oh,
some
it's a
extent
lot
the
of
things
work.
that have to
So
happen.
just-
Event planning is
We'll move
huge.
together.
To Drew's credit, I read through the whole thing, and when I was done, I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
Because she gave all the background information,
Right.
she answered all my questions, and so, it made it really easy for me.
right.
Really easy.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I'll pass it on to Drew, even though I know she's listening. Okay, so we talked, next item is draft budget, Madam Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to Councilman Lewandowski about this. I think the right time to talk about draft next fiscal year's budget is once we get to the mid-year and we know where that sits.
Mhm.
That's the right stepping off point to really look forward a year and project what that new year's budget, the coming year's budget needs to look like. Because be honest, if I was to bring y'all a draft right now, it would look eerily close to the mid-year that we just covered. So I think that's we start really talking that after we get the mid-year amendment taken care of. And then long-term financial discussions, number 13. I will tell you, Mayor, I think you were there for, we were down at the last month's Lake Region Prosperity Partners county manager,
Great meeting.
Howard Wanamaker
Yep.
gave us a briefing of where the county sits and their concerns
You
with.
loved it. It was so detailed.
He went through their budget and the
He did
potential
such a great
impacts
job.
of goodness gracious,
Property tax.
the property tax exemptions for homesteads. Thank you. The words will come. Their biggest concern out of a somewhere between $300 and $400 million budget is an impact of 76 million, 74, 76 million, 79?
79.
$79 million impact to them if Homestead were to come through. I say that just because that is going to be the lens that the county staff and county manager are going to receive any request for additional funds from the city right now until the legislature decides well, the governor and the legislator come to agreement on what's gonna happen next. We do know they're going into special session. They did not pass the budget, and so it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. So, that's all I had on that one.
I'll get copies, that, you know, we can share, I can share with Dan the copies that he gave us. Remember he gave us all the nice handouts?
Yes, ma'am.
That, like a PowerPoint, but he took it down like big picture, down to granular.
Wow.
And compared us to other counties in the state
Mm-hmm.
and where they are. And, you know, like I know St. Augustine's around 8 million or so that they're gonna be impacted with it if it goes through. So, it was just great, cause he was showing like fire and safety, right, being the biggest, cost for the county.
Yes.
And that could be impacted. And I was just talking to one of the deputies the other day, and she was worried that, you know, resource officers at the high schools, or the schools, could be impacted with loss of job if that goes through. I just told her, I said, you know, hang tight.
Yeah, I think the biggest, on that message is the current law that they're talking about almost forces the counties, I don't know, that may be a strong term, they're not allowed to hit the life, health, safety type of functions of the government.
Right.
So. The last thing I'll say on that was, we were talking about what we do get out of the county. I would want to highlight that they did recently pass, you know, obviously the 155,000 out of county funds to help with the Lake Geneva Restoration Project. Tonight at between 4 and 5 o'clock, they are considering, in their consent agenda, another $140,000 from the tourist development tax to go towards doing more in Lake Geneva, using awarding more to that contractor to get more done out there.
Right.
I intend to go represent the city
Mhm.
at that meeting.
Good.
Even though it's in consent agenda, you know, there's a potential that it might be pulled and discussed. So I want to get the city's
Okay.
perspective and
Mhm.
really the positive perspective of what the county has done over the last year to help us move this effort forward. And really, state, county, and city, and solo nonprofit effort doing really well. So.
Appreciate you going
Yeah,
tonight.
very good.
Just showing up is just so important.
It is.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Long term. And then the last item I had on here was pavilion income reinvested in Keystone Beach. And so just wanted to float this idea with you that I've been thinking about, which is as we see more use of pavilion rentals, it's very popular. It's an amazing location. I see that when we built the budget this time, it was $12,000. It looks like, if we continue on the same path, we'll probably come in income-wise from the pavilion somewhere around $20,000 for the year. What I would propose, and I'm not sure what the budget mechanism to do it is, but effectively, if we run into budget issues from whatever stresses there are coming down the line, that my proposal would be that the council try to protect any of the income that comes into the pavilion and dedicate that to reinvestment in the Keystone Beach. If we claim that Keystone Beach is going to be the kind of the gem and the jewel of Keystone Heights, I think setting those funds aside, using them to reinvest in either Geneva Jungle, bathrooms, reinvesting in the pavilion, keeping that area in tip-top shape, I think is going to be key, particularly with the lakes coming up. I just wanted to really throw it out as a discussion topic to see what y'all's thoughts are on that, and get any feedback that you have.
I can see pros and cons. I have a feeling that whatever the beach needs, we're gonna give it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you need to protect money. But at the same time, it's kind of gives the city manager like, well, this is my budget because I know how much we got.
Yeah, you know, so the way I look at it is, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to do that. When I look at 20,000, there's some places that cost you that just for one event to rent. So it's not really that much money. But you know, our bathrooms, they've just gotta be something. I mean, they need to be upgraded, they need to be enhanced, whatever the words are. And I know we have the risk of issues happening, but I think for the most part, we've gotten a lot of that under control, especially with cameras, and I think people know now that they're being watched. But you just want the overall experience to be good. And of course, the jungle gym thing is also important, which y'all have already been working on to get it more safe and things like that go on with it. But to me, it's whatever we gotta spend to keep that park vital and special for people to come to. Because I'm out here with so many negative comments about going to Sunrise or the dog park, especially the dog park. People aren't gonna clean up, whatever. I don't know how many people even use it. And maybe that's a location that we should look at doing something else with. I don't know. Because it costs our people to go out there and keep it clean and do all that, but maybe there's only a few people take their dogs out there and they mess up stuff, and all we do is clean up after them. So maybe, I just look at our parks, let's optimize the property to meet more what I think the citizens' interests are, I have a dog, a lot of people have dogs, but do I take my dog out there? No. I don't need them. Maybe we can look and see how many people actually go there. I don't know. But the parks are certainly valuable, and we need to continue to take care of them, and I want to hear good comments about going there. Everything good is good here. We heard noise about the bathroom last year, and, I think that they're right. There's some improvements that could be made there. It is our job.
Yes, ma'am. I agree, and we'll keep looking at it, but I wanted to float the discussion. Two things along those lines. If you look at, one of the things we offer our citizens for what they pay in taxes is infrastructure.
Right.
And I know that those parks are utilized by everybody, I agree. But if you look at, for our our citizens, our residents, roads, sidewalks, stormwater, that's one of the hard things that you can point to and say, what do you get for the additional funds? Because every time somebody on a Facebook page says something on City of Keystone Heights Facebook page about the crappy roads and conditions, when you drill down, it ain't a City of Keystone Heights road, because
That's exactly
99% of our roads are paved, and so.
And I don't know, I watch social media pretty close, but we've got folks coming back with proof and clarity on, they pitch something, and then we have someone come back in a respectful way and confirm the details. Oh, I didn't know that. And I do the same thing. If I even send them a copy of something that I pull from ordinance or something, but I will definitely address it. Because people just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And it's an opportunity, that's the way I look at it. So, okay, well, are we good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.